All right, guys. All right, I think we're live here. Just 1 second while we wait for things to get going. Okay. All right, we have a few people showing up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's talk about. Let's talk about today. Hi, my name is Joseph Publon, meteorologist with WisconsinDX.com. You're looking at JUL level 3, the radar here for currently. This is 10:13 a.m. Just looking. So I got the wrong window open here. You see this guy standing in what looks like about knee-deep water. That's a flash flood report. Water flowing over the road at County Road M and County Road GG here in Clark County. With heavy rain there. So there was actually a heavy, I think, a flash flood polygon box that was popped up there. I don't know. I don't see it on GL level 3 right now, but it shows up on the live map. But yeah, this is the current activity. Nothing severe. Thunderstorms, they do produce heavy rain occasionally. So that you have. What we're watching for is mainly this afternoon and into the early evening hours. There's just not enough energy right now at this particular moment. Okay, that we'll go to here. Now let me. So this is the WisconsinDX.com live map. I've got the hour 1 day outlook for thunderstorm activity posted here on top of the radar, and you're just seeing that. Generally looks like it's going to be in this area today. I'm going to go into greater detail in just a second. I'm just going to show you there's a couple hail reports. 1 inch hail. That was from earlier this morning at 7:33 a.m. out there on the southeast side of Minneapolis. Right now we got quite a bit going on across northern Wisconsin. Quite a bit of clouds. This is the satellite latest. And you're seeing, if I draw it in here, basically anything north of that line is really socked in right now. I do see a little bit of clearing popping through here. You have so much going on in here right now, it's going to be hard to destabilize that, or it's going to just take longer. But you do have a clearing in here. So this is kind of the area, the things I'm watching. It's never really clean cut. There's always, it's like X's and O's. How are these things going to come together exactly? But you're seeing, maybe here's a little zone of instability, or clearing at least. And I know there's like a pocket of surface-based instability right there. And now I'm not sure how it's going to get involved, but so sandwiched in between some clearings here. So that's what the satellite looks like. This right here is kind of an issue too. We're trying to get rid of that, get that going off to the northeast so that we can, destabilize and cause some storms to develop. I was just looking at this prior to going live here, but let's take it back to this is the simulation for what might happen today. And you're seeing, if we go back here, you're seeing, if we zoom out, basically rain shower activity here in eastern Wisconsin, thunderstorm activity in northern or / northwest Wisconsin currently, and that's going to be heading off, I think, in this general direction today. This morning, that's not what I want to show you, but you're seeing that on this model. This is the HR showing that, so that's good news. That's what you want to see, right? You want to see the models and reality kind of merging together somewhat. So that's a good sign. So as we take this through time here, this is close to noon. Kind of the same thing going on still at around noon in that same zone. And then as we go into the afternoon hours, things start to kind of change a little bit. You're starting to see more thunderstorm. You're starting to see some activity on this model run, almost going all the way up into here. And it's going to be you're going to have a hard time getting enough energy up in here with the amount of rain going on. But we'll see how that goes. But on this model, thunderstorm activity going up by about 5 p.m. It looks like there's new development going on across this zone in here. We'll see what kind of level. Probably some strong to severe storms, maybe a couple of them moving into, it looks like probably this section of Wisconsin right now. As we take it through time, you're going to see those storms popping up and kind of coming through. And then as we go towards midnight, this is the midnight hour, you're seeing these storms here kind of weakening and washing out just a little bit. I would say there's going to be a gradual weakening across this section of the state tonight. That's kind of the edge of our outlook zone. You may have additional development or thunderstorms continuing across this region overnight, heading southeast. And as we put this through, you're seeing how that works out. Or I guess on this model one, it's sort of stationary, but either way, looks like I think the best chance for rain across this section of the state is going to be tonight. All right. Here's what the day one outlook from the SPC looks like. You got a slight risk here from basically Wabasha over to Shawano. This yellow zone is kind of the main area you'd be watching here. Kind of an outside chance here, outside chances over here. Okay, and those X's just mean outside chance. But that's the way the SPC looks. This is the way our outlook looks. Looks like, actually, this needs to be refreshed. Let me just do that quick. And you're seeing, I did bring it all the way over because I don't know. I kind of think that in here you're going to have the best instability. Once it gets over to here, you're going to start losing it. And that's why I kind of wanted to focus in on basically Wabash over to like Wausau, Wisconsin Rapids, northwest of Wisconsin Dells, and basically Eau Claire and then southeastward. And that zone has the best chance for strong to severe storms, large hail, damaging wind gusts, maybe a weak tornado, but we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be updating this story here in just a little bit before I head out for my storm chase today, and then you can find more information. This is on WisconsinDevX.com. If you just click this yellow banner up at the top, it'll get you to the latest information. Okay. That was sort of the basic information part of this. Now, if you want to stay longer, I'm going to go into more detail about kind of the different things that I'm looking at. And literally, this is like a live, what do you call it? The section of the event, the X's and O's of what I'm thinking or what I'm seeing or what I'm wondering about that might be interesting to you. But thanks for tuning in. If I understand if you want to head out, you just want basically the radar simulation. I understand. But if you want a little bit of a deeper dive, stick with us here. Okay, so here is let's go to 7 p.m. this evening. I show this often, and I'm sorry that it's off center here. It's kind of over here. But this is the convective models. These are short range models. They're kind of specializing on thunderstorm activity on a short term basis. And they're showing right now, and I've got this 4-hour max here in terms of, it's a 4-hour max, 2 to 5 kilometer updraft helicity. Basically, it's kind of a signature of where the strongest storms will be, and it's pretty close to where I have that labeled on the map. But it kind of in here. But at about 7 p.m., that's where it's showing it. This is the NAM-NEST reflectivity simulation, and this is a blend of all these convective models. But you're seeing at that point, from this model at least anyway, thunderstorm activity all the way from what looks like almost Rhinelander all the way down towards La Crosse at about 7 p.m. And then, but again, I'm still somewhat skeptical of how strong these storms will be. We'll see if we can destabilize enough. I think there's a greater chance down in here with the instability that's allowed to get in. But that's the NAM-NEST. Let's look at some of these various models and take off this 4-hour, 2 to 5 kilometer updraft helicity map, and then we'll show you some of the variations here. They're all kind of showing the same thing. They all vary in terms of intensity, which is, interesting. I'm feeling very comfortable about the way that we have the mapping set up for today. So this is the SPC. This is ours. And sometimes you can go to, I will take it to a red severe zone if I feel like it's pretty much a slam dunk and I have no questions whether or not a storm will be severe. Today, I wonder a little bit about the instability, that it might keep things a little bit on check, take the edge off of it just a little bit, and but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But that's sort of what I'm looking at in here. All these variations of models is spread up towards about 8 p.m. You see, this is what they're showing. So if we take, let's say, the ARW through the afternoon hours, you're seeing quite a bit of thunderstorm activity there. But then for some reason, at about 5 or 4 p.m., it just makes everything go away. And I think that has to do with gaps in instability, moisture instability, or access supply. And then you start to see things relocate. So that's kind of an interesting thing to note, right? If you're chasing, you may have a situation where the storm weakens or goes through a cycle that it seems like it's going away, and then all of a sudden, poof, it comes back after 5 p.m. or thereabouts. But this model has the strongest storm kind of down in here. With these are probably again like not gonna have all the oomph that you might expect based on what this looks like. But we'll see how that goes. Looking at cloud cover, because again, here's the cloud cover now. Again, the way I look at it, you have kind of two zones of clearing in here, with this is going to move off like that. But how this all comes together, because it's got to come into here, right? It's got to move to get into the zone that we think it's going to be. Somehow this is going to have to work out here, or this is also technically a clearing too. So, anyways, just watching how that evolves. I don't know. I mean, if you waited for this to get in there, it might be closer to 5 to 7 p.m. before you have enough energy to destabilize. Whereas with this is more near term. I guess if you can get this up in there quicker, you might have something going on a little bit afternoon or early afternoon. So again, it's just one of these things that's somewhat fluid. And when you're storm chasing, you kind of do a process of elimination. That was what I was showing you there. So the cloud cover simulation, I just want to take it through, kind of show you what I just talked about. This is supposed to be right now, 10 a.m. here on the HR run. If we go through time, you're seeing that clearing there, southeast Minnesota, moving into western Wisconsin, and that seems like the best chance for destabilization with associated thunderstorm activity thereafter, so probably after 5 p.m. Best chances anyways, 5 to like 8 p.m. probably. You've seen that, and then it blows up sort of in that central, I don't know what you call it, west central Wisconsin zone, just looking at the cloud cover. But yeah, you need something to stabilize because this at about noon is never a good sign, okay? But if you can get this in there, you might have a chance later in the afternoon or early evening. So there you go. That part. The other thing I was looking at, and I did read this SPC Outlook today, and they did mention the 500 millibar, and I just want to show you that. This is the NAM. Just showing, this is a pretty strong jet streak in here at, let's see, what time is this? This looks to be about 7 p.m. this evening. This is pretty strong. That's over 50 knots. Okay, that's pretty good at 500 millibar. And the other thing we look at is the wind direction. So at 500, this is high up in the atmosphere. You have coming out of that direction. Now, if we take it down to 700 millibar, it's coming out of here. Just showing you for visual people out there. 850. Nice jets in there too. I mean, you have a pretty good jet stream flow, jets coming through. And then the lower levels, 925 millibar. And then we go down right to the surface, to the 925 millibar. That's pretty close to the surface, and it's probably going to be pretty... So what you're seeing here, when you go, when you take, I'm going to take these arrows off. From the height going down, you have basically somewhat of a cyclonic curve to the soundings, which helps with organization. Shear magnitudes, I think, are going to be pretty close to 35 to 45 miles per hour. Knots, 35 to 45 knots, shear vectors there. So that's enough to organize a thunderstorm. And when you have the instability, not strong, but sort of in that weak to moderate, you have everything's in pretty good proportion there. And again, we're going to show you, this is the sounding I just drew from somewhere. I don't know where I got that from. But yeah, so let's look at the instability. So this is the Cape value. The NAM on the weather.ca.edu website only gives you 180 millibar mixed layer, which works, I suppose. And you're seeing here at about noon or a little thereafter, this is this is noon, this is 1, this is 2. On the NAM, you have a nice reservoir building in here, okay? Not so much here, right? We've been talking about that. I'm not so sure. But here, this is a pretty solid bet, right? And that sort of tries to sneak in, but at about 2 to 3 p.m., you're kind of running up against the wall here. You really need to move it in there fast. And that does seem to happen on the NAM. Now, the other thing that I found interesting is that as that Cape surges in, some of these models have somewhat of almost like a warm front moving north. I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but and then as the storms move off towards the east like that, they might be able to kind of get a little bit more organization with this zone here. That's something I always look for, but it may not happen exactly like that. But you have this instability. So that's why I remember when I first opened up this discussion, I talked about this zone kind of being the favorite area, because if you look over here, after this is 8 p.m., after 8 p.m. you don't have much energy over here, but you have it still somewhat in here. So there you go. That's that part. Now for the last thing, let's go look at the current observations. This is the SPC mesoanalysis page for the region. Now it's really hard to see. I apologize for that, but this is Wisconsin right here. And I think what I'll do is I'll take my face off of this right now. And so there's Wisconsin. I'm just going to leave that red circle in there. What we're looking at is the surface-based cape. And this right here is sort of associated, let's see, if you can see my mouse cursor, this right here is sort of associated with that surface-based cape, that clearing that's sort of up through northeast Iowa into southern Minnesota. The blues are indicating somewhat of a lid, a capping inversion, but also there's a lack of surface instability there right now. So you need to bring it in. That's the one thing that we're watching. I've been talking several times now. I mentioned that part. Let me just double check we got on the right thing here. Okay, we are. So this is supposed to be the forecast. So I'm kind of going back and forth between actual and forecast. Right now, they seem to be matching up decently well. So if we take it up to 2 hours and then up to 4 hours, you're seeing that instability moving into western Wisconsin, west central, northwestern, sort of a clear down to La Crosse. So that's a sign that, yeah, perhaps we'll have enough energy there for strong to severe storms. We're looking at the effective shear values right now, 45 to 50 knots, pretty good for effective. And then as you go +4 and then +6 hours, so 45 knots of effective shear this afternoon is enough for organized thunderstorms, perhaps supercells. And again, if we look at that instability, going back to the instability again, that when you have about, it looks like it's about 2,000. I think this is an optimistic value probably, but about 1,500 to 3,000 value for surface-based cape. I think that's a good proportion. Things are kind of a nice. Basically, what happens is when you have too much instability, it blows things out because it tends to go outflow because things are imbalanced. But this is probably a pretty good balancing act going on here. Again, this is just a deeper dive. If you want more of the basic information, go back to the start of this video where I go through that. Yeah, I mean, this is me basically going through it because I'm going to be chasing later and I want to know where I'm going. So I think we're probably going to be heading out to Eau Claire to start and then adjusting from there. It seems like the first place I go to is never where I end up, but it helps me get where I need to go. And at about 6 p.m., no, sorry, this is 6 hours from now, so probably pretty close to 4 or 5 p.m., you're seeing the supercell composite, sort of, if you took all these parameters and boiled them all together, and what would you get kind of thing, kind of putting a bullseye there across west central Wisconsin. Again, we'll see how far it gets into northern Wisconsin with some of the issues going on. So let's go back to this. Bring my face back a little bit. And then I think I'll get to some of your questions right now. Because I'm not sure if I'm going to leave now or if I'm going to wait for a few minutes yet. I mean, wait until noon. Going to my handy dandy tablet here to kind of go through your questions. Again, I go through this because I think it's a lot different from, you're not going to find this information anywhere else. You know, because the National Weather Service TV guys, they just want to simplify things to a point where anybody could understand it. And I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to show you, but, you know, there's a niche there for doing things that are a little bit more detailed. Hi, Scott. Hi, Matthew. Richland Center represent. Yeah. Kevin woke up to storms this morning. That's awesome. I love good morning storm. Michael's asking, so Fox Valley should look out. Sorry, I didn't remove this red circle here. And let me actually I'll go back to your question in just a second. I just noticed that it's kind of stagnant. I don't like stagnant viewer visuals here. Yeah, so Fox Valley after 5 p.m. tonight. Yeah, I think so. There's some activity. If you look right now, there's some weak stuff heading towards Wapaka, but I don't foresee that doing anything at all. But yeah, after 5, I think better chances, maybe even overnight for rain. We'll see. Yeah, but that's yep, you're right there. Bob is saying it's a typhoon in Phillips, Wisconsin. Yeah, I mean, when it really comes down, and then lately the last few years have been really, these storms really always tend to have some heavy rain with it. If you're lucky enough to be underneath one, it's pretty wet. Oh. Yeah, so that's that. Let's just recap a little bit. Let's see if this has been updated at all. No, it hasn't. Let's take a look at this one. Again, if you want all the summary of information in a basic format, go to the beginning and you'll see I have everything kind of laid out there. Again, I think pretty shortly I'm going to be updating this on the website. So that's another source of information. Just looking at the HR, I want to look at it a little bit closer again. So let me just go through this in my terms of my mind, what I'm thinking about, because as a storm chaser, it's a little bit different. So, I mean, in my opinion, if I could get up to Highway 29 and then sit here somewhere in between here, that's a really good zone for storm chasing. I know the data's not great, but that terrain is somewhat probably the best if in Wisconsin for chasing. If I can get up into there and have a storm be there, that's ideal. Uh, I think this model is a little bit further. I don't know. It's kind of split because I'm not going to go up here into the forest where I can't see anything. So I'm going to be more prone to staying down in this zone, right? Because then I can actually get to it and see it. I mean, I could get to it up there, but I wouldn't see it. And it'd be like intercepting in I don't know, forest. You know what I mean. Up there, you know how thick it is up there. So yeah, if you can get down there, but the other issue is La Crosse region tends to be hilly. This is the driftless area down in here. So I mean, not exactly in there, but you kind of get the drift of it. The drift. That chasing wise, that's not ideal, but you can do it. So I'll have options, right? Because it's a process of elimination. Now imagine as a storm chaser, if you're sitting here in Eau Claire at about, I don't know, 4 p.m., where do you go, right? Where do you go? So I don't know. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're looking north and going, no, I don't like those storms, then it's probably going to be this way, and then that gets you where you need to go. If I just went straight here, I may find that I wanted to go on those northern storms, and it turned out that the southern ones were not as good as the northern ones, and then I missed out. So, like I said, if I say Eau Claire, that means I'm probably going to start there, but I'm going to go somewhere else after that. So, cool. Just thinking, storm chasing stuff. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm going to update the story now, and I will talk to you guys later.